Hey, Coco Nomad here, and in this video, I'm sharing more tools, tips, and techniques to help you be successful, whether you're working remotely around the world or in your hometown or home city. I've been doing this for a while, and I just feel like there are a few things that I can share that may help you if you're trying to be more successful with your remote work. And this one is having an accountability partner. Now, this is something that I started doing a long time ago, and it has worked very well for me. And I'm going to share my process and a little bit of the history and how things have been going. So let's go ahead and get started. So basically, an accountability partner is essentially someone that you have established a relationship with where you meet periodically and you share the commitments of things that you want to get done. And so you're basically having someone that you're making an external commitment. You're saying, hey, this is what I want to get done. This is when I want to do it. And periodically you meet with each other and you talk about what did you get done? What were you not able to do? And maybe have a discussion about some of the struggles, blocks, and things of that nature. Now, if you're familiar with my series of what I'm working on, you'll notice that I actually do a form of that with this channel. And that is just a way for me to share the process overall with what's going on. I don't go into as much detail there as I do in my individual accountability calls. And they're all structured a bit differently, but it's basically using that same format of basically what if you're familiar with agile practices, the daily stand up, which I do. I have more of the retrospective review in the what I'm working on, but there's a lot of similarities there. So it's essentially just what am I working, what did I get accomplished, what am I working on, and is there anything that's in my way that's stopping any blockers? So the way I set this up is typically I will do a 30-minute call with an accountability partner, although it does vary. I have one accountability partner that our meetings are a lot longer, but there's a reason for that. But typically it's 30 minutes. And basically the format is for the first 15 minutes, one person talks and they share their status updates. In the next 15 minutes, we switch and the other person goes. Now, how often I schedule this really depends on the partner. I have one partner that I meet with every week, and one I meet with every 2 weeks. I have another one that we meet 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And that just depends on the projects that I'm working on, what I'm committing to. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have multiple accountability partners. I just have a lot of projects. I like working on stuff. I like making stuff. So for each of these different things that I'm doing, I have a different accountability partner. There is a little bit of overlap for some of them, but I tend to try to keep myself focused with a particular partner. I don't want to overload any of them with too many things. I want to maintain that focus. And I talk about some of the benefits of clarity and focus in another video about the benefits of having an accountability partner. But I'll save that. I'll just drop the link somewhere up here, down here, or in the comments, and you can just watch that separately. Now, first thing is, how do you find a partner? Well, the way you can find a partner is simply reach out to people that are in your work circle, your social circle. A lot of mine are just a byproduct of my social circle. These are friends that I've made over the years. Some people I've known for a long time. Some I had met within like the last year and a half. And we just had a rapport and has decided this is someone with whom I'd like to continue talking. They have a good head on their shoulders in terms of knowing things about a certain industry or just a general area that I'm not familiar with. And I'm like, oh, this person would be really cool to bounce my ideas off of and could give me a different perspective. And then just ask them if they're willing to do it. I find that in my accountability partnerships, it is a two-way street, as I mentioned. If it were a one-way street, I feel like that's more of a coaching relationship, which is totally fine. I have a coach as well, but it's not one where the accountability partners for me is more like a peer relationship. It takes me back to being a kid on a field trip, and you partner up, you're going to the zoo or the museum or whatever, and you hold the hand of your one buddy. And I've always called this accountability buddies for that reason, but I'm using partner because I don't know, maybe it'll come across better for most people, but it's my buddy, it's my accountability buddy. And so we hold each other's hands essentially as we're walking through this process, going through this place, and we're looking out for each other so that we don't get lost. That's the whole point, right? And so for me, that is what I try to do. I've had 5 different accountability partners, I think, in the last 3 years, and 3 are still going on. But it's just one of those things where you just want to keep those lines of communication open with someone. And some of the people that you've worked with in the past might be, some people that you want to work with would be another good source. Some people that you might have dialogues with in some of your, say, for instance, Slack groups or Facebook groups or LinkedIn or anything like that. And just reach out and ask. I mean, it's just one of those things that it can't hurt to ask if someone wants to participate with you. They may have something they'd like to get done, a side project. Another thing here I would say is I like this because it's a peer relationship. It's not a boss, like a boss employee relationship or anything like that. So it has some benefits that I'll talk about a little bit later on what's important in these types of relationships with an accountability partner. One question is, does this person have to be in my field, right? I'm a software developer by trade. Only one of my accountability, well, two are in the software or software and computing field, but neither of those are in the field do the kinds of computing work that I do. So we're still working in different areas. And my other third accountability partners is in a completely different field. And so I like that perspective. It really helps to broaden those horizons and keep things going. So, and because the projects that I'm working on are not necessarily related to my field, it's also cool. So some of my accountability partner projects are not computing related at all. So it doesn't really matter. It's more about having that sounding board, having someone else, again, that you're committing to externally that's helping you stay on track. And that's the most important thing in an accountability partner, in my opinion. Um, I do have some people, though. I had one in the past that we would meet when I was in Medellin, Colombia, who was similar in the field, but he had more of a design background, and he really gave great feedback when one of my projects was developing an app. And it actually changed my perspective on some of my development moving forward, which was really nice. So that's one of those benefits that you can get, that different perspective someone's giving you. So let's talk about what makes for a successful partnership. And I think the number one component of this is to respect the calendar. If you commit to a time and for meeting with your accountability partner, you need to do everything you can to honor that commitment. There is nothing worse than putting something on the calendar and then frequently not showing up or showing up late, because that just shows that you are not respecting the time of the other person, and that can ruin the relationship. So if I totally understand things come up sometimes, life happens, but what you really want to do then is, if this is something that's going to be an issue, then you either need to change the time and be realistic about when or how often you can meet. So you may have a goal of wanting to meet with your accountability partner every week because you're really excited about this project you're going to do. But if you can't make it consistently every week, then maybe go bi-weekly, maybe go once a month. And even if you do that, maybe expand the time of the meeting. Maybe you don't have 30 minutes every week. Cut it down to 15. I've done some where we've modified and we just do a quick 10-minute basically stand up where it's 5 and 5. Whereas a 5-minute, I talk about it. Now we were meeting more frequently, but we could easily schedule that 10-minute call, get on and get off and move on with our day. But sometimes maybe you need to do once a month and it's an hour and you can go through all the things that you need to go through and have enough time. Maybe it does need to be an hour. Maybe it's just a shorter status update, but be flexible, but respect the calendar. Respect other people's time. It's so, so important. The second most critical component of an accountability partnership is honesty. There's no point in having an accountability partner if you're just going to rubber stamp everything they say or do. If you're just going to go here and say, "Yep, sounds great. Yep, oh yeah, you're doing it. Go ahead." What's the point? You're not helping your partner. The point is to look out for each other. The point is to keep each other on track. If something doesn't sound right, if your partner, like if it sounds like they're trying to do too much, maybe they're not trying to do enough. Sometimes you got to nudge your partner. It's like, "Oh, come on, man. You know you have enough time to stretch yourself, push yourself." It's almost like working out. You have workout partners like, "Hey, you can lift a little bit more. Come on, a little bit." And then it'll ebb and flow. As you get to know each other, you'll start to understand. But at its core, that honesty is critical. So that honesty and respecting each other's times are the two really important components. You'll work out the rest. The details of how frequently and how long and all these things, those are negotiable, right? You can change, and they may change over time. So on the topic of nudging, though, I want to say, just be clear: nudge, don't push. There's a difference, It's like give them a little nudge. Don't push the partner. It's like too much pressure. They don't need that. Chances are this is a side project, external thing they want to get done, and you don't want to add extra weight and gravity to that. You don't want to be dreading your accountability meeting. You should be looking forward to this. This is a supportive environment where you're building each other up and lifting each other up. So you still want to encourage that you can do it, but not going overboard. So the final thing is also just be open to reviewing and adjusting. As I mentioned in a little bit here, that the times and the lengths may need to change. I've had one or two of the same accountability partners that I've had for some time now, where we've either reduced the frequency or we've increased. Sometimes we'll do something like almost like a challenge, like for 30 days. We're like, okay, we're checking in 5 days a week for this 10-minute meeting because we both have committed to a challenge that we want to get done in a month. And then after that, we may go back to a bi-weekly, so where we're talking every 2 weeks. Right now, I'm doing that with one of my accountability partners where we're talking 3 times a week, whereas before we were doing once a week. But we have some things that we want to get done over the summer. So we have like a summer challenge. So as a part of this summer challenge, we are meeting 3 times a week. And then I have a third accountability partner where we are checking in every other week or so. And it was very infrequent, but now that we both have new projects that we can bring to this particular partnership, then it's a little bit easier for us to commit to a time and scope it out and say, okay, let's just check in every 2 weeks, see how we're doing, and keep this ball rolling, keep each other going. So I just wanted to introduce you to that in this video, having an accountability partner, how to set that up, some of the critical components that you want to have so that you can be successful. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. I'll drop all my contact information in the description. I love talking about this stuff. As I said, I do a weekly when I'm working on video where I share a little bit of the weekly retrospective that includes some of this, in addition to some of the other questions that I ask along the way. And these are the kinds of things that happen in my accountability partner call. So just kind of giving you a window into the world that I live in and how I try to get things done. Hope this helps. As always, hope you have an amazing day, and I will talk to you next time. Cheers.